Well, good morning as we're sitting here at LTV on this beautiful morning, Wednesday morning in November 27th, year 2024, here with the Hello Hello Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi, continuing with the tradition of public access and the tradition of the Hello Hello Show that's been on the air since 1980. Of course, not to fail to mention the contribution by Fraser Dougherty, Francis Ann, and then, of course, the likes of you out there that make it your business to enhance and fortify the concept of public access, rightfully so, as we sit and indulge in this wonderful concept that provides us with a stage and with the ability to express ourselves as we do here on daily basis 24/7. This morning I have the pleasure to welcome Bob Sullivan. Bob, thank you so much. It didn't take too much convincing to have you here, so that in itself is a part of the pleasure that we're going to experience interacting with you. and in addition to that, I have a feeling that we're going to find out a thing or two about a thing or two. So, as I said, very, very happy to have you here. Bob is an established artist, a resident of East Hampton. And of course, you will be able to see his paintings as they're portrayed here at LTV Studios, and we have it. We're going to have it on display through December 31st. The opening is this coming Saturday, November 30th. So there's many good things to find out. Bob, how are you doing this morning? Thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, I'm doing great, thank you. It's a beautiful, cold, just crisp day before Thanksgiving, and
As it should be.
yeah, pleasure to be out and about.
Yeah, and so just give us a little summary about what.
Who Bob
Yeah,
Sullivan is?
yes.
Okay,
I assume you know a
all
thing or two
right.
about him.
Bob Sullivan was born in New Jersey about 70 years ago, and I won't use a third person anymore, but I've been enjoying art pretty much my entire life.
Yep,
Uh,
I'm here.
okay. I started painting in college, primarily doing studio work with figures and drawing uh, abstract work. I didn't know much about art, but I started going to museums, started going to galleries, and got a real inspiration through uh, the the painted work, particularly the impressionists uh, of the period: Van Gogh, Monet, Manet, those guys. I just liked the look of paint on a canvas. That was what got me inspired. And since I moved out to the East End, that was 20 years ago or 25 years ago, I've been doing a lot of work with plein air painting. That's my primary field. So I get the easel, put it on the beach, uh, pull out the palette and paint. And I'm a member of a number of different organizations out here: the Wednesday Group, the 30 Squared Group, Southampton Artist Association, East Artist Alliance. And I usually find somebody who wants to join me there, and we'll spend 3 or 4 hours, maybe only 1 or 2 hours, but it allows me to either complete a painting that's in a rough state, or allows me to get a sketch down. I call it like a skin coat, where I can just come back to the studio and fill in the details, or not so much details, but color choices in the studio. So I would say 90% of my paintings are plein air paintings.
Yeah. So how do you end up being able to bypass so much of which causes other artists to dwell in front of a painting, and for the most part unnecessarily? It's not like they're not good artists or anything like that, or anything is lacking. But how do you find? Because I know you're very prolific, and I know that they to tell you, hey, can you accomplish this within 1 week, and the answer would always be yes. But how do you get yourself to find yourself in that kind of ability to manifest? And your paintings are not paintings that you just splatter a few coats and say, okay, we're good to go.
Right. Uh, I think the fact that I'm a representational painter gives me a very solid goal in terms of what I hope to accomplish. So, in other words, If it's a painting of a barn next to a pond, I don't have to use a lot of imagination to get the subject right. I've had some very good teachers over the years who have taught me techniques in terms of composition, in terms of use of the paint, in terms of technical skills. Uh, and when I can employ all those different tools, uh, it comes together pretty quickly. But I would also have to say that I love to read about other artists over the history of art, and they inspire me.
Yeah.
In other words, I like to see. I just finished a book on Keith Haring. I had met
Mm.
Keith and I hung out with him a little bit when he was at School of Visual Arts in New York back in the late '70s, early '80s, and he.
That must have been exciting.
Well, it was. I didn't. We weren't friends or anything, but I, went to parties and nightclubs, and that's Keith Haring,
Yeah.
and I saw his development into a internationally
Into who he
recognized
became eventually. Yeah.
superstar.
Oh
Really,
yeah.
yeah. And but reading the book brought back a lot of memories. But at the same time, it inspired me to admire the technique that he used and the genius that was in his particular field of art. It's not plein air painting like I do, but I understand. I recognize what makes it good, and that you ask why do some people just dwell over a canvas and they can't really come to a conclusion.
I mean,
Uh,
for the obvious reasons, it's not like it's a mystery. We know why, but we
yeah,
don't know why otherwise. Like in your case, is the case. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's a confidence. I think it's a
Okay.
confidence built on appreciation of art and of
Yeah.
knowledge of and
Uh,
discipline of doing it.
and an acknowledgement of your abilities. It's an extension of it's almost like a very intimate level of narcissism that you don't externalize. You keep to yourself, but you know it's there.
Okay,
You
if you
you're
say
quietly
so.
admiring yourself, kind of thing.
Well, there is that. I mean, there are moments when I'm an idiot, and there are moments when I'm a genius, and
But
they
the good news is that only you know about it.
you
That's what I like.
Well, that's it. You can't actually verbalize that while you're doing it. It's all going
Correct.
on inside, and you have to just go, nope, that's not doing it. Maybe the
Yes.
complementary color will be the one.
Yes.
Maybe
And
it's a lot of detail. Maybe it's a little no detail. I don't know.
yes, but
You
no
have to
one can
try.
argue with an end result. No
Yeah.
one,
Okay.
you create a painting. I will say, I my goal is really to create a painting that will cause people not to be able to resist themselves, but to buy it or to go home with it.
Okay.
Something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's too
Nice.
cliche, but it's viable. It's realistic. You know what I mean? So I always said if and when I have a conversation with my kids, I always tell them, listen, the only way to avoid bullying is to become an artist and an active artist and so my daughter looked at me and said, how's it going to work exactly? I said, I'll tell you, if you're going to produce paintings and I'm going to if you're going to paint paintings and I'm going to produce it for you and hang it on the wall, and you're going to invite your friends or your school to your openings and you're only 16, 17, and you do it once or twice, three times, take the number one bully of the school. And if he was to entertain any ideas that he's going to bully you for any reason, known or unknown, first and foremost, there will be a recollection of your artistic creativity that you decided to expose yourself to everyone. So he will think twice because even the bully himself doesn't like the idea of being ridiculed. And sometimes to attack a person like you that's an established artist will be a source for being ridiculed.
I get
I,
that.
I, I thought
Yeah.
that made sense in the sense that, and because I know that in my case. In my case, I know that many people appreciate what I do, but they also don't hold back from sharing it with me.
Doesn't it come down to respect?
Yes,
It's
respect and
it's it's
regard and there's
admiration. It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
being
There's
able to
some there's
say,
something even
well,
more than that. I don't know which word to use, but I know that sometimes in the early process of in the early days of uh, you know whatever you want to call it, becoming an artist, I saw people that uh, when they approached me or when they saw me from afar, I almost was able to know what they're thinking about,
Okay.
what's going on, So probably they will see me and they will remember the last solo exhibition I had somewhere and said, "Oh, that's the guy. This is the show," and they bring it together. And if they're with someone that I don't know, probably they're sharing it with that someone. So it's a good, healthy source of embedding yourself in the community and in a good way.
Yeah.
But in your case, I like the fact that you have that level of confidence, but it's not necessarily manifested directly and knowingly by you. It's just you have so much to show for it. And that works. But it's a quality that I wouldn't take for granted at all.
Well,
I
I'd
hope
like
you
to.
don't do that.
I'd
Why
like to.
don't you answer this question? And I
Okay.
want to go bring one of your paintings, put it in the back of you, because it doesn't make sense to have that
Okay.
boring bare wall behind you.
All
So
right.
answer that question when I'm
When you get back.
yeah,
Yep.
please, the camera is yours.
Ah. Wow. Well, to tell you the truth, I'm not sure what his question was, but in terms of how I work and why I'm able to continue putting out work, is has a lot to do with discipline. It's just a question. Like one of my mentors and inspiration to me. Uh, wow, look at that! You sure did get a painting. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Just do it this way. Oh, this way. Are you kidding me?
There we go. Is that that's sort of behind me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I can even open it further. Okay, look at me. That's good. That's good.
Okay. Okay. No, I was starting to talk about discipline too. One of my mentors is Mark D'Alessio. He exhibits in Sag Harbor at the Grenning Gallery, and Mark has a motto, I guess, or a work ethic, which says "wet a brush every day." You know what I mean? Get paint every day, work every day, and if I can't do that, I will sketch. I will just draw with pencil, pen, ink. But that's my new thing, because there are times when I go through periods where I'm not working, and I keep saying to myself, "Oh, I will work. I'm going to do it later," or or I'm resting, or. But I like the concept of picking up a paintbrush every day, and even if it's only 10 minutes, even if it's only just adding a couple of strokes of color to a given painting that's almost finished, or it's a 3 or 4 hour session, it's still um, it, it keeps the momentum going. It keeps me active and in the game, because it's easy to fall out and
It
procrastinate.
doesn't take much for that to
Yeah,
happen. Yeah.
yeah. You can say, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow." And I can say that. I don't know about you, but I can say that I'll do it tomorrow, and I don't.
No, I don't
I say
take.
the same thing the next day.
Yeah, I don't take it for as a given for
Yeah,
granted that I'm just gonna the paintings, and I'm not. They're definitely not gonna paint themselves, and
yeah,
you gotta have kind of be proactive. But how do you identify? Because we live and thrive, I assume that you're the same on that potential breakthrough that is always lingering somewhere,
yeah.
and it's all over the place. It's just that we need to kind of almost like that this stubborn lemon or orange on the tree that refuses to fall, and eventually it needs some help.
Uh,
So, um, what is the nature of that breakthrough that we need to identify in order to make it real?
well, I think it comes different ways for different people. Some could be financial, some could be popularity, some could be technical achievement. I'd like to think it's more along the lines of technical achievement, but I've read a lot
Isn't
of.
it the only way? The only way? The only That's
Well, I
how I
just listed
perceive it.
three. I mean, three.
Because all the things that you mentioned is a byproduct of the technical aspect, becoming a
Right.
better painter.
Okay, and then I would say the technical thing comes from self-esteem, of being able to look at your own work and say, this is exactly what I want it to be. You've reached a comfort level where you're going, this is what I've been looking for. The problem with that is it comes and it goes. Like one painting, you're on top of the world. You got it. You nailed it. This is exactly what I want to do from now on every painting I ever do. And then next day you go in there and you can't get it to come together. Again, a lot of that has to do with technical skill. If you know composition, how to set up an image, if you know color theory and contrasting images and contrasting colors, and if you know all the technical perspective and necessary stuff, it helps. But still, paintings are kind of mysterious. They don't always just paint themselves. I have to put in time. I think it was Matisse who might have said, for every masterpiece that I painted 500 that just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody is a.
But you see, I try to shy away from these slogans, of being exposed to these slogans also, because it's just like, okay, I mean, before I was a painter, an artist, and I could tolerate it, but now I cannot, because it's just like, it doesn't get us anywhere, really.
Mhm.
The thing is, wet a brush every day, it sounds good, but it's so short-lived, but of course you're going to have to wait a bit, but of course you cannot just state the obvious. You can, and it sounds great, but then you're going to be held liable because it's just too cliche. So you got to be very
Yeah,
careful what
let's
you
see.
release into the air, kind of thing. No,
Uh,
did you ever taste your paint? Did you ever put paint in?
yes.
Okay, good. So now we're
That,
talking. We're getting somewhere now.
I'm not sure.
No, I understand
It
why we
tasted
just.
very good.
Yeah,
Well, it's made out of linseed oil,
yeah.
and that's a vegetable product, and then of course it's got pigments. But don't be tasting the titaniums because that's a
Um,
metal that doesn't break down in your system.
no, I know, but it was just like, if so and so did it, and I consider so and so a giant, maybe I might as well just do it and say, get.
Yeah, well, look what happened to him.
Yeah, yeah, correct. But
Yeah,
but I'm not him.
yeah.
Um, I'm him in a way that maybe we share the same passion. And
But I use those slogans and sayings because they help me. They I'd like my paintings to always come out perfect and be fabulous and world class.
they
And
have to be.
well, they aren't always. And when they don't come out that way, because as well as I do, they don't all come out that way. I don't want to beat up on myself. I don't want to sort of say, you suck. Forget painting. That's a waste of your time. You look at what you painted. It was terrible. I don't want that. So what I like is to have a few of those cliches, a few of the advice from the old school guys, the mentors, the things I can look at and go, well, they had their trouble too. They didn't always get it right, and I'm okay with that. I don't have to be perfect every time. I just like to be making progress.
Yes,
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
and
Like,
progress known only to you, kind of thing. And that's where
yeah,
the strength is building up
yeah.
behind the scenes.
Nobody knows my paintings better than me.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I
of
mean?
course. Or maybe some do, but never volunteer this information to you. You never know. There's
There might be
There
some
might, yeah.
truly genius
I
people
hope,
who
yeah,
pay closer attention.
yeah,
I'm very impressed when somebody comes up to me and says, "Did you change your palette?" And I'll go, "You know what? On that painting, I did change my palette,"
yeah,
and that's almost something I don't even recognize. Because uh, I work with 6 basic colors: uh, 2 reds, 2 yellows, and 2 blues.
yeah,
But I will put out purples and greens and
yeah,
other
and
oranges,
black and white, of
and
course.
I'll do things. I never use black paint. I never use black paint at all. But anyway, uh, when I throw in, a different green or an orange, and somebody recognizes
Well,
that,
let's go back to never use black paint. What do you mean? I
black paint is dead. I mean, I love Franz Klein. With his
Of course,
abstract
yeah,
work.
yeah.
They're beautiful.
But let's. What is it? What is it about black? Tell me.
Uh, it doesn't have a sparkle to it. It doesn't have a depth to it. That a mixture. I will mix my own black. I'll mix ultramarine and titanium red light, and I'll mix maybe a little cadmium yellow. Uh, I don't mean titanium red. I mean cadmium red light, and I'll um, I'll work it until it looks black, but it's never really black. The lamp black, Mars black, coal black that comes in the tube is a product of burning to ash the life out of a pigment. So
But
it's
it's there for
dramatic. It's dramatic.
but it's there for a reason. Don't you want to experience that reason of why it's there to begin with?
Oh, listen, I just bought myself a gallon of tempera black paint, and I bought those big Japanese brushes, those big fluffy Japanese brushes, because I read about Keith Haring
Yeah.
doing his graffiti in black and using those brushes, and the Franz
So
Klein
you're
with his
succumbing to the possibility that
Oh yeah, I never say never, but in my plein air painting in the field, I like to also keep it simple. 6 tubes of paint, maybe 7 with the titanium, but easy to pack in, pack out, and easy enough for me to achieve black. And the other thing about black is pure black is you don't really see it in nature. If you lay a piece of black cloth at your feet while you're standing out in the field and compare the black that's on the ground in front of you to anything else in your field of vision, you'll never find anything as black as that piece of cloth at your feet.
well, maybe yes, maybe no. We don't know enough to release this
Well,
statement
it's
to the
the
air. But I
atmosphere
understand what you're talking
between,
about. Yes, of
over the
course.
distance
I understand, but
negates that.
that leads me to, okay. So what separates us from the giants? Is it, well? I know it's a combination of things, that's for sure. But is it work ethic? Forget about being talented and technically savvy and knowing your compositions, knowing about placement, and knowing about proximity, knowing about many things that a good artist should know.
Yeah,
But what really makes them the giants that causes us to be separated from them, and we always look up to them,
that's
or
a
at least for.
that's a great question, and you got to
Thank you.
look back, look back over time. One of the great breakthroughs in painting was when Giotto, back in the 15th century, started putting human expression on people's faces. At the time, people came into the churches and they looked at these pictures of the people and they started weeping. They started crying
Yeah.
because suddenly, for the first time, art had a human touch to it. There was like an emotional entry
Like a mood.
into this piece of wood with the paint on it. It was suddenly like a thing. And there've been a lot of breakthroughs like that. When Picasso started like shocking people, Picasso was a fabulous renderer. His father taught figure drawing, portrait drawing in Barcelona, and Pablo at age 11 could render a figure better than I can after 20 years of trying. But he decided he was going to he kind of stole stuff from Matisse in terms of those African mask figures that he put on the Damoiselle d'Avignon that he used. But he admitted readily that his goal was to shock people, break through to the next area where people were suddenly put off
And
by
do
what
you
was
want to
going on.
entertain an idea of why he wanted to shock people? Because I think I have the answer.
You tell me. Go ahead. Why do you think he did?
Well, because he needed to keep people busy thinking about that particular thing, while he's actually creating his persona,
His persona.
who and what he's about to become,
Bigger than life.
So it's almost like it's almost like someone that's charging at you and you punch him, and you know that you have 5 hours because he's going to have to nurse his wounds, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you're gaining time. So you want to shock because you want to keep them guessing, keep them wondering.
Okay.
And they're not aware that you don't stall, you don't pause, you are continuing to do what you have to do.
Okay.
So it's a shock, and then setting you up for even
giving you
a
time
greater
to
shock.
Go on to the next level.
Yeah, exactly. So if you think this is a shock, you just wait and see.
Well, there is that, but I think also the success in the art world. You take a look at Jackson Pollock. He's not my favorite. I mean, I appreciate his work, and I have since I was a kid. But a lot of his success depended on the art news, art forum, New York Times critics people said he was good. And that's another thing in the art world these days. Gallery owners will come to art buyers, art collectors, and say, "This is good. This is what you got to buy." The collector may have no idea whether it's good or bad, but he's been advised by somebody in the industry with credibility who has encouraged him to spend big money on it. And suddenly there's the headline in the newspaper the next day: Jim Smith's painting sold for $3 million, and Jim Smith is suddenly a big
Yeah,
commodity
yes,
in the art
yes,
market,
big item.
and it's changing faster and faster as time goes back.
Yeah, with Jackson Pollock, as you mentioned his name, I don't associate Jackson Pollock immediately with drip and splatter. Look at the piece that he did for what's her name, Guggenheim,
Peggy Guggenheim.
Peggy Guggenheim.
Yeah.
You cannot say it's not a masterpiece. I mean,
I'm not
especially
sure
because
which one you're talking
it's
about.
the figures and the and the whole kind of random but very well thought thought of composition. The scale
Okay.
also, we talk about scale and we talk about conquering the subject matter, potential or not, instinctive or not, that will become eventually what it was. So it shows so many levels and degrees of disciplinary disciplines, and also knowing oneself as a person and as an artist, and that's
Okay.
not easy to find. I don't care who you are
All
and
right.
what.
Well, but there are a lot of opinions on that.
Correct, correct.
Your opinion is strong and it's positive, but I've heard a lot of people say that he was a so-so figurative painter, limited skills and talents,
Because
but
in the
when he
back of
got into
our
the
mind, we
dribble,
always have stories of him being a loser and a drunk. So
well,
don't
we have
forget
that
that.
too. Yeah, and
No,
I
not that too. That is actually a big factor on how easily we can go from admiration to dismissal,
okay, yeah. Well,
if you know what I mean.
I know, uh, I know his popularity uh, is undeniable. He had universal appeal, but I'm not sure that painting you're referring to in Peggy Guggenheim's collection um, is the kind of painting that gave him that universal appeal.
Well, it's a part
The
of
next
the
level.
scheme. The scheme of
Yeah.
things. It's another part in the puzzle. That he was completing a puzzle. He wasn't even aware he was completing a puzzle. But even if you were to say his friend de Kooning, there was also a drunk, but he was a responsible drunk.
Yeah. De
He
Kooning.
was drunk that was aware that he was a drunk.
Yeah.
So that means he was always room of sobriety
Yeah.
in his scheme of things, immediate in that immediate emotional vicinity of his. There was always a brightness that helped him establish his. That's why he could paint more often. That's why he was painting more often than not, because he was aware of what he was aware. I like to drink, I like to get high, whatever it is, but I need to paint. It's a must. So he came to terms with himself early on, and Jackson Pollock came from the south. Don't forget, he
Yeah.
came
That's
from
right.
Scandinavia. This guy came from the south. In the south, it's like it
Holland. He
was the
was
Stone
Amsterdam.
Age then.
Yeah.
So he had to get over so many issues before he came to terms with himself being the artist that he was, and being introduced to New York in the 30s, late 30s. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's
Well,
it's as much inspiration as it is potentially a devastating factor. It can crush you. This reality, even today, if you were to go as a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old beginning artist to New York City, it can really take you to heights that you're not aware of, but it can crush you instantly. Also,
it's a tough world out there,
yes,
and
yes.
that's the focal point of the art world. New York, it still is. Uh, I would say that de Kooning was inspired by almost a mysterious force that made him want to create abstract work, and he didn't like to call it abstract. He called it non-representational work that was a breakthrough. He was constantly looking for the breakthrough, but as you said, he never stopped working. He worked constantly, and he was a terrific representational painter. Did beautiful landscapes and beautiful things that we're talking about. But he was looking for just what you're asking about. What is the breakthrough that takes us to the next level? And that was his thing. And I'm not sure in his own mind he ever felt that he found that. I think and that might have been the demons that caused him to drink, and he ultimately had the wet brain, and he was his Elaine managed his entire career in the last 10 years of his life when his paintings were producing the most money, but he wanted those breakthroughs. He wanted that painting that I don't think he ever got. But I admire the heck out of de Kooning much more so than Jackson. Because Jackson started drinking, and then he just sort of stopped. He did about 10 years of really good work, and then he kind of just stopped.
But the way I see it, you're absolutely right what you said.
Yeah.
But de Kooning appreciated Jackson and his work.
Yeah, they were buddies. But they did also get
forget about they were buddies.
They got into
I know.
Other.
But let's put their buddies aside.
Yeah.
He really, for the right reasons. Now, look, the proof is in the pudding. What was he producing the last 10 years of his life?
Who? Which one?
De Kooning.
It was hard to say because she claimed he was producing the stuff in the last 10 years, but he would go in there and kind of we have his assistants would paint.
We have some footage and video and documentation of what he was doing or not. To a certain degree.
Yeah.
But we know because
the work itself, I don't know. I don't know what he was doing.
Complete abstract.
Yeah.
Complete, absolutely. But he was really dwelling, for example, even the way his new studio was erected and come to life.
Beautiful studio.
Was according and based on his need to produce abstract. This wasn't the business of using, painting flowers and fields of wheat or whatever.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying he knew that he found a calling that belonged to everyone in the world that has a desire to paint.
Okay.
That's the thing of all things. So it's a lesson for us. Yeah. It's a lesson for us.
Yeah.
If you leave enough room to explore in the early stages of yours, no matter what kind of a painter you are, for freedom to lead you to abstract and of course, I can't tolerate the combination of abstract expressionism, because I'm sorry, I'm going to use a word that I don't like to use. I think it's retarded a little bit, and I'll tell you why. Again, I apologize to people too when I use the word retarded, because stating the obvious kills inspiration, or at least potential inspiration. The whole idea of why would you want to talk about expression when all the process is built upon that from beginning to end? It's like ridiculous to walk around and say, and for example, and I think
the critics came up with that word.
No, I know that, but artists accepted it.
Well, they had to. Some are regrettingly.
Yeah, but so the thing is that de Kooning managed to indulge into this because he knew that he was that which was described. But the thing is this, I'm completing my thing. So when he was engaged in abstract, he did not arrive or approach abstract vis-a-vis abstract. He was always choosing a back door to come into it.
Yeah.
If you can imagine that.
He never followed anybody.
Yes. And so what happens is that he is coming to abstract through something of his own. And not through abstract itself in order to create that package.
Yeah. No, he was not a follower. And if you look at all the different styles of abstract from that period, you realize that, de Kooning definitely led the way and maintained the lead over other people who had derivative kind of abstract work that came out of what he had pioneered. But yeah, I was going to say that he also looked at it as work. I don't think he looked at it so much as happy time, like, oh, fun, I'm going to go down to the studio and have some fun with paint and paint brushes and see what happens. He had a real motivation, obsession almost, to come out with the breakthrough, the next level, the recognition from the public of the importance of what he was doing, of the importance of his departure from all like, as you say, wheat fields and vistas and sandy beaches and so forth, something that was universally recognized, but not representational in the least.
Yes.
And whether he made it, I mean, that's the beauty of art. It's opinion. You can say, I love this stuff, or you can say you hate it, and it's okay, because everybody has their own point of view, and it's all very subjective based on their experience and their life. But there are some artists who do seem to have universal appeal, like Van Gogh, probably the best known painter in the world. Everybody knows who Van Gogh is. They probably can't tell you another painter, but they do know Van Gogh.
Yeah, or they can't even tell you what these paintings are all about, even some of them.
They don't know where it came from or why
they
like it, but they like it.
Yeah, they like it, yeah, of course.
But then you look at other stuff. Like you look at Francis Bacon, who I love, but it's just completely wacko. Sides of beef hanging with the Pope sitting in a throne in front of it, in a blood red background. Seems to be dripping with God knows what in the painting. And you look at it and you go, like, who would like that? But for some reason, I do. It's not something I try to paint, but it's his breakthrough. What got him to the next level was the subject matter.
Yes, and speaking of Van Gogh, but he would be the guy that leaves you without any option other than just loving it to the utmost of the possibility to love what he does.
Exuberance, you said.
Exactly. He leaves no room for doubt. Oh, let me see if I like it or not. You like it, because you can also, even without the expertise, he makes it very easy and very evident to what extent his technical capabilities
there was a lot
go. A lot. So, and the beauty of it all really is that he didn't try to do that. He was just a result of Mother Nature together with his gifted personality and all this. So what about about the desire, or maybe a lack of desire to be responsible personally and intimately in your own journey, maybe to bring to life a new style, so to speak? I mean, what about this desire that is fading out and fading away before it even becomes an issue? It's fading away.
Yeah.
People don't show enough desire to break through, but break through in a sense that you will not find yourself traveling on the branch itself, but literally elevating the entire branch one notch up in order to find out that you were like operating on a completely new
level
ground, new level.
De Kooning was looking for.
Yes, but in general, where did it disappear? Why is it not as evident as it used to be?
You may be right. It may be an excuse. I may not be being completely honest with myself, but I am sort of still stuck in the academy stage, the school stage, where I'm teaching myself. I'm learning from other people.
Sorry, I'm not sharing my chocolate with you. Okay.
Well, I'm gonna make a note of it. Didn't share chocolate.
You're behaving with my chocolate. You don't eye it.
You better have more of that. That's all I can say. Have some more of that somewhere around.
Sorry, go ahead. Go on.
Yeah. But that whole other level, to me, it sometimes comes under the heading of gimmickry, And I respect what you are asking, is that new level will be a complete breakthrough, because so much of what you see today is still down on this level, and it's gimmickry, painting with dog shit, excuse me, use of the language, or taping a banana to the wall. It's bullshit. There I go. I said it again. But,
it is as much as it isn't.
Yeah. Is that a whole new level of art appreciation where people will go, oh my God, this is it. You've come through. This is painting with dog shit, painting with, taping a banana to the wall. I don't think so. But those things are selling for millions of dollars. And that's why I have disdain for the art industry as it is. There's a terrific book out called A Day in the Life of the Art Industry or in the Art World. It examines galleries, publications, auctions, artist studios, and it goes on. And I gave a copy to Chris and get it from him because
No, you need to give me a copy.
well, I'll make a note of that too.
I proved myself. I deserve it.
It's a good book, but it's the industry today, and it's not exactly admirable. There's a lot of
But why do we need to know that?
going on.
Maybe it's actually counterproductive.
It possibly is, but I'm not going to turn my back to any information that's coming down. I'm going to look at it and analyze and decide whether I believe it or don't believe it myself.
But how is it going to help you? How is it helping you?
Knowledge,
Other than the obvious thing that we want to believe that will come out of it.
maybe what to avoid. Maybe the answer is what to avoid. And do I want to immerse myself in that world? No, I don't. I didn't like it. I didn't see it as attractive. And the crazy thing is, you go online and you Google today's best plein air painter, and you know who you get? You get somebody who's today's best social media painter because they have more Google.
That's a form of art, though. Social media.
Yeah, well, I don't mean it in terms of their artists in social media. They are plein air painters and they do a lot of plein air painting, but their website has generated more views than anybody else's.
For the right reasons,
number one in the
but for the right reasons, though.
No, you look at the artwork and it's crap. There's I'm looking at a horse's head and it looks like it's a praying mantis or something. That is not the plein air painters. You look up T.M. Nichols. I was just looking at him this morning. You look up Mark D'Alessio, Ben Fensky, and you look at their painting skills and their academic training and their classical capabilities and compare it to the people who are recognized by as a result of their Google search results, and you're going to get two entirely different results. I mean, two entirely different painting abilities. So, I admire a person. I mean, there's so many people who simply copy photographs, and I'm not into that. But you look at a guy who's a true plein air painter, goes out in the field, sets up his easel and works. Maybe he comes back for a week every day, same time of day. And then he comes up with a painting that is more beautiful than any photograph you've ever seen, but it's also more accurate than any photograph you've ever seen. And then you say, that's paint? That's paint? Look, who is it? Gerhard Richter. He's one of 21st century's more popular painters or best admired painters. He can do photorealism, but he also does a lot of what was that? Frank Stella, the color field painter is just a big wall of a single color. He does both. But I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I'm just trying to say is that technical skills from the academic perspective have given me goals, which I am able to judge myself by, and in turn see my progress and be able to decide where my next step is going to be. And whether it's a whole new level of artistic achievement or it's simply following in the footsteps of people who have gone before me, doesn't really matter that much. I'm not that wild about the concept of being the next Wilhelm de Kooning.
Okay, so now I'm going to start asking you the real questions. This is just like scratching the surface.
Hold on, I got to go take a shower. I'll be right back.
Because, when I have a gift that when I look at people's work, I see a lot.
Okay.
But I don't see what you would expect me to see.
Well, of course, I would expect you to see.
Yeah, but I mean, if I look at your paintings, I will see the obvious things: your capability, your level of confidence, the way you hold the brush, the level of conviction. I can see these things.
Okay.
But also, I can see what I think is best for you to do.
Okay.
And when I look at your paintings, I see that I'm not so sure whether this is something that you contemplate. Maybe you think about it or not. But there's some, because I'm able to isolate certain sections of your paintings. Like, for example, if I look at the painting behind you,
Yeah,
in that kind of lower level of the is a fantastic abstract expressionism, and maybe to a level that an abstract expressionist won't be able to do if he or she were intentionally trying to do that.
I
So,
see.
do you ever finish a painting, like for example the one behind you, and then examine it by isolating certain sections from others and saying, if I have a capability to paint this as a part of my realistic painting, to actually intentionally paint a painting like this as a whole to represent my ability in what it speaks for.
Good question again. And the that
And I'm talking about something that's completely evident. It's not like you have to dig it out.
okay. Yeah, no, I
In
believe
your case,
I've told people that I would love to do a painting that is both completely non-representational and representational at exactly the same time, so that someone could look at it and say, "What the hell is that?" And then somebody else or that same person later could look at it and go, "Oh my goodness, that's exactly, a weeping willow tree with a boat and a swan and a, whatever, some representational image." So, yeah, and I got that after reading that de Kooning biography, in that he was searching for that next level of appreciation and admiring very much his discipline and his uh, work ethic. So I have tried to incorporate that into my work. And it's funny you should mention what I think you're talking about, because I was just reading about Cicely Brown. Have you seen Cicely Brown's work? She's another one of those 21st century painters with a very well recognition. But initial observation of the painting would suggest a complete abstract painting. And then closer observation, there's actually a lot of both erotic and fantasy themes running throughout the entire canvas. She does huge works, 6 feet by 10 feet, and they're very detailed. A lot of
my kind of
information.
girl.
And she's a born in 1969, so in my opinion, she's kind of a young kid still, and she's British, which also is good, like Bacon and Hockney, uh, and they are a couple of, and de Kooning's one of her inspirations as well. So well worth looking into. She's very well recognized. A lot of collections, a lot of museums, and
Yeah,
high price galleries. Cicely Brown, yeah, she's
yeah.
worth checking out. But that is, to me, a direction that I should be going. That is, um, as you say, being able to
But
take
but the point is that
the
I'm trying to stress,
abstract.
you're already doing it.
Okay.
You don't have to decide to do it because you're already doing it. I see it in all your paintings. That means I'm
Okay.
able to see. Um, um, it's not even potential, because if I was to take certain sections of your paintings and make it a painting in itself, it's an established, accomplished painting.
Yeah.
Abstract
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say abstract, because it's more like kind of freestyle, more like freedom. I mean, that's what it screams.
Okay.
And because you're so busy with your palette that it actually gives you freedom to naturally, it's almost like your hand is finding its destination without you mindful of that fact,
Uh-huh.
because you're so mindful of the fact that you need to execute a great painting, per se, technically
Or
speaking.
yeah, I know what you
And that's
mean.
with me
Get hung
too.
up on the
With
details.
me too. I abandoned all the rules of what kind of paint to use, whether it's straight from the tube, whether I mix it myself. First of all, it's nobody's business. Secondly, it's my decision. Thirdly, it's how I feel. And who wants to waste time thinking about the world? Why is the world helping me to paint in the studio? Is the world giving me any kind of suggestion or any daily list on how I should go or shouldn't go? Something
But
helpful?
you got to worry that you don't end up in an echo chamber talking to yourself. You
Yeah, well, I
you
do
have
that.
to.
What do you mean end up? I already do that for a long time. That's why I'm a good painter.
Oh, okay.
No, of
That's
course.
what it. Well,
First of all, I have no fear because it's cliche to have fear.
yeah,
And also it's an impossibility for me, for anyone to be able to intimidate me in any way, shape, or form. I'm not telling you that I'm not influenced by the world, and I cannot be hurt my feelings if someone tells me this and that. I'm a
yeah,
human being.
yeah.
I need to be that. I hope that I am that vulnerable and sensitive. But the question to be asked is, what is it going to take for you to realize that, to be able to
Well,
separate it
it's
from
gonna.
the equation of your paintings as they are coming across today? And when I ask you this question, it's almost like I ask the world this question,
Yeah.
and to end up in something to say, but of course.
Well, I do rely on inspiration. That's a big push for me. As I mentioned, all these different artists, I'm I'm drawing on their accomplishment, and I'm trying to. I don't want to say mimic it. That's not a good word, but I want to progress beyond. I got to take what they've given me and move up to the next and work my way up. Keep going up and up and up and see how far I can go. But I'm standing in the shadow of giants. These people's work I admire. They are. I can, like you. I see how they got what they got, and I can see the hard work that went into it, and I can see the technical strength that they brought to the job. So I can get that inspiration, but I don't get the idea of the echo chamber. I want goals. That's what I've always had in my painting is goals. Like another thing, and you'll probably cringe when I mention it, but my friend Mark D'Alessio says, as your skills observing increase, your skills at technical ability rise to meet that level of observation. And then as your skills at observing increase again, your skills technically rise to meet that. And that's your progress. And observing is a question of seeing purple in the shadows, being able to see the perspective of a human figure. Being, observation is difficult. It requires discipline. It requires truly, truly looking at stuff. And then once you see how this world is constructed, then being able to paint it. Look at a guy like Andrew Wyeth, who said that one of his greatest accomplishment was painting the air that was contained within a space created by a set of stairs and a farmhouse wall, and looking at his painting and seeing, yeah, I can see the air that's in that little cubicle space. So that concept of observation is not going to happen in your echo chamber. You're going to just continue seeing what you're creating until you look out and see what other people are doing.
Yeah, but just to remind you, well, first of all, let's just remind the people sitting here with Bob Sullivan. A pleasure to interact with him, and we have about 5 minutes. Whether you believe it
Okay.
or not, almost an hour was
No, we're gonna
devoured.
we did that.
But in that sense, I just want to kind of make that statement that will include the idea of how come these giants are so able and available in those crucial moments to actually make it happen, is that they don't dwell and philosophize too much ahead of time. They need to start the action, to be in the heat of action already, to allow philosophy to come and to play its role. And definitely after the fact, plenty of it. But they know that it stands in their way as a deterrent and as an obstacle, which they don't need because all their lives they perfected their journey to be bypassing obstacles. Not that they don't like obstacles, they don't think
Uh-huh.
it's important or effective or benefiting, but they can do without because they need the time. They want to paint, so they found a way to first let me start and let me dwell or do all the things that I'd rather not do before while I'm doing it. and then, of course, indulge in an ocean of possibilities, philosophically and psychologically speaking, after the fact.
Okay.
And why? Because they have the privilege to say, well, the painting is done like Picasso. Picasso used to sell his paintings to collectors with a sheet over the painting. They wouldn't even see what they're buying.
Really?
And they would have conversations like, um, um, if the collector is lucky enough to end up in his studio, he said, I see you were painting. I see you're painting. You're busy. He said, how can you can say that? All of the paintings that you potentially want to buy, they're covered with sheets. So how can you place an opinion on? And he said, oh, you know that I pay, you know that I must leave with that today. You know that.
Yeah.
And Picasso would say, you know, it's going to cost you. He said, but of course. And you know that it's going to cost you a lot. He said, but of course I know that. So you willing to buy that painting that you don't know what it is and go home with it and pay me $1 million or $2 million? But of course, things like that.
That's like P.T. Barnum selling people,
But you're selling
acid
the
of an
real
elephant or
thing, the
something.
real deal. That's the thing. The thing is,
You're buying a Picasso.
you're not buying a Picasso. You're buying greatness. Forget about now the name that will draw the relevance in your
Well,
head and whatever.
is it a universally recognized greatness, or is it something that the art industry has
And that's
labeled?
exactly what we're going to discuss next meeting that we're going to have. We're going to start about that obviousness or lack of obviousness.
Yeah.
How about that? Is that a deal?
I like it.
And maybe next time you're going to bring me some chocolate, high quality chocolate that
I'm still waiting for you to bring me the high
It will
quality
allow
chocolate.
you to talk more than you did, and I'll
I
eat more
see.
than I did.
That's why you're on a sugar rush. That's
So
why.
no sugar. I like the darker the better.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm
I got some stuff you like. We went to Toronto, and that lady got chocolate that has no sugar in it at all, and it's all pure cocoa bean,
yeah.
pure, but not dark. But she has all different sorts. I'll bring you some.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. So let me just kind of make sure where we stand here. Yes. Okay. So we got um, first of all, I really thank you for being here with us. That's
You're welcome.
You must admit it was painless, no?
Yeah, it was
It was
painless.
painless.
I mean, it was
painful. To say, okay, come on with it. Go.
It was painless. Okay.
Okay.
I
And
swear,
meaningful.
I had a good time.
Good, yeah,
time.
me too,
Enjoyed
me
it.
too. That's and I had no doubt that this is going to be that, and I think we're compatible to maybe on regular basis, once a month meet and something like that,
Great. Well,
or even
great.
even more often than that. But I want to thank you for being a friend, for the great artist that I think that you are, and for participating here with the art show at LTV, which is uh, really something that we're very proud of. 28 years of display of art here for the community, about the community, and beyond. So
Nice.
let me just mention that first of all, Bob Sullivan is a part of the group of artists. Nine artists are going to be here. So this is the opening this coming Saturday, November 30th. 3:30 to 6:30. Please make a point to show up, and then of course to enjoy all the wonderful things. So we're going to be here tomorrow as much as we were here yesterday, and as much as we're here this morning of Wednesday morning, November 27th, year 2024. Want to wish you all happy Thanksgiving. And yeah, keep safe and happy, and as you should. And Bob, I'm going to give you the last word.
Okay. Well, I am looking forward to the exhibition over the weekend. Opening's going to be great, followed up by a nice production here at LTV Studios. And I want everybody to come because they're going to see some great work, both on the walls and on the stage. And I also want to thank you, Haim, for inviting me out here because it's a pleasure to talk art. I mean, I love to study art and I love to create art and I love
to discuss and talk.
This turns out I love to discuss.
Yes, it turns out
you have to pull the plug on me, and I'm discussing so much art. But
here you go.
It was a lot of fun, and it's always is to hang out with you, buddy. So
yeah,
thanks
definitely.
For inviting me.
Great, thank you so much, and keep up the good spirits, and we'll see you soon.